right, welcome. Here's our another drawing refresher activity that we're gonna do. And before we even start this, I want to talk about very specific drawing strategy that really helps people when they draw. We're gonna call it the flower phenomenon. And the flower phenomenon is basically this. There's tons and tons of different flowers in the world. This is kind of a little rose that somebody made, and it really looks realistic and it's beautiful. And I have been known to walk around with this in my hair, even though it's a pen. But there's all kinds of different flowers in the world. And the flower phenomenon is I could put a flower that looks like this in front of a student and ask them to draw it. And somehow they will come out with a drawing that looks like that. Okay. And the reason for this is because simply our brains are smart and they're dumb at the same time. They're smart because they want to figure out a very fast way of doing something, so they can get it over with and go back to just relaxing and being lazy. But they're dumb because of that as well. If we look at this rose right here, it looks nothing like this drawing right here. Yes, this drawing tells me flower. Yes, this little sculpture my student made tells me flower, but do they actually visually match? Absolutely not. So, with that said, we have to kind of tell our brains to be quiet a lot of times. When your brain sees something, it's going to want to take over and find an easy way of doing something, like the flower, or even like if I have like trying to draw my hand, no matter how many times somebody looks at it, there'll still be at least one student in the class who gives me a hand drawn like that. Okay. Because our brain takes over and wants to go very quickly. And I'm sorry, my hand does not look like that Mickey Mouse glove. And that flower doesn't match that flower. So first thing is just to tell your brain to be quiet. Stop assuming things. Stop trying to figure out a fast way of doing something. Okay. Now, strategy for getting your brain to be quiet is to do an upside down drawing like this. Okay. Now, I know you know what this is. I know you're looking at this and you go, hey, that's a giraffe. I know it. It's just upside down. But tell your brain to be quiet. By drawing it upside down, it's not as recognizable. And by putting it upside down, I'm going to force myself just to look at the lines and shapes and little dots that I see. Okay. So instead of going, okay, it's a giraffe and has like a little snout. Okay, don't do that. That's the worst thing ever. Um, just focus on the lines and the shapes and the dots. Remember, these lines take direction. Okay. And we have to draw slowly and softly. And you're just seeing how these lines kind of interact with each other. Hey, here's one line here and another line there. Okay. Let me get this. Notice how they bend, they curve, they move away from each other, they get closer to each other, all that stuff. Okay. So here's our first side. A good thing to do as you're going along is to check your drawing. So a lot of times we draw look, there's my head. Okay. We draw so close to the paper. Okay, and then we have to zoom out to actually check our work to see if it's matching. So one thing that you can do while you're doing this is to zoom out, pull the paper away from you, and check from left to right, see if it's matching. And then another thing to do, which is fun, is, a little way through, just start checking your lines. Flip it back right side up and see how much it matches. If you draw it correctly upside down, then it'll still look correct right side up. Okay. The other thing is with this worksheet is it's two-sided. Okay. So we have, I think, Charlie Chaplin right here. And this is the same thing, just lines and shapes. These are shaded in, so you can do that too. They're all these little organic shapes. And just do your best to match it as best you can and take your time. Tell your brain to be quiet. Don't go, hey, that's a face. Okay, I'm just going to draw a face upside down. That's no, no. Just draw the lines and shapes that you see. Tell your brain to be quiet. And that's all. Good luck.